Continuing the Chevy Cobalt LS to SS swap, and the next thing I'm going to do is start preparing to remove the engine. I'm going to remove the front bumper, headlights, grille, radiator, everything associated with it, and then the starter and intake, and then just start unbolting the torque converter, exhaust manifold, and it should be ready to unbolt the engine and pull. Still has a lot of residual damage from the front crash, but I'll repair all that before I start putting it all together. Intake manifold. Okay, the starter bolt takes a 13 millimeter. Okay, and this wire right here is the positive that goes straight to your alternator. So I'm going to remove that as well. And disconnect this wire right here, that sensor, and then this one down here, just give myself some more room to remove the starter. The starter takes a 15 millimeter for the bolts. You can remove this when you're replacing the starter by itself without having to remove the intake manifold. You just get underneath the car and it's pretty easy. This is your blind bolt. You can't really see it, but it's pretty easy to feel around. Alright, now I'm going to go get a pry bar and start removing the bolts for the flywheel to the torque converter. Alright, that takes an 18 millimeter. Alright, removing the top engine bolt by the starter, which is an 18 millimeter. Next one right below the starter. is another 18 millimeter. Okay, that's one of the long ones. Alright, the heat shield has three 13 millimeter bolts holding it on. Most of the time the studs come out with it, with the bolts. Alright, so you really should use a 13 millimeter deep socket. Then we have to get an extension. There are two 18 millimeter bolts on top of the engine, connecting the engine to the transmission. One here, one there. Top engine to transmission bolt. Top back engine mount. Alright, that's all the bolts I can get to from on the top of the engine. So, when I get ready to pull it, all I have to do is remove the top engine mount, the back engine bolts. And there's a really long hidden one, or two long hidden ones on the back. And then it should come right out. I noticed that transmission housing in the accident was completely busted. Actually, I didn't notice that last time. Kind of stopped working on this thing when I realized the engine was gone. So we do have an extra transmission housing. I might just switch everything over. So I'm going to remove the passenger side front tire, jack it up, and access the bolts that are way in the back towards the firewall, kind of by the water thermostat inlet. There's two bolts over there. Alright, time to go underneath the car and get the bolts on the bottom side of the engine, connecting the engine to the transmission. I love this Harbor Freight ratchet that bends here. It makes it so much easier to get bolts out in tight spots. There are 2 bolts holding a bracket to the transmission on the passenger side of the engine, and there's 2 holding it to the transmission, and then there's 2 more holding it to the engine, that bracket. So I'm probably going to remove the bolts holding it to the transmission. And both these are 15 millimeter. Two 18 millimeter bolts that hold the passenger side motor mount to the frame rail. Alright, passenger side front motor mount. Alright, when you're pulling the engine, look for extra ground wires or hoses that are still connected. I just found a ground wire that's connected to the transmission, but still on the engine wiring harness, and that's a 15 millimeter. So I'm replacing this entire wiring harness. Alright, now for my favorite part, when the engine actually comes out. There's always something connected. Alright, now everything hopefully is disconnected. Trust me, no matter how many times you pull an engine, there's always going to be one wire, one hose, something connected. That's why you literally just go out as slow and even, and then just disconnect stuff as you find it.